I am so glad that you've come back, returned to the garden. And in the garden today, what we're going to talk about is judging. But there's a sideline that oftentimes that has gone unrecognized. And that every time you judge, by taking on the role of the judge, automatically, without question, without doubt, in every situation, there has to be revenge. And our goal in this short segment is to bring to clarity the fact that the revenge that you have been feeling inside and wishing to be expressed out in the world, our craving for rightness and justice, every single bit of emotion that you have felt at somebody else at fault, somebody else doing wrong, you have been the only one that has paid the full price for that judgment. We're going to go about doing this in the best way I know how, but the spiritual truth has been there for thousands of years. Judging and revenge are like a horse and carriage. They go together or nothing moves. Your judgments of the world you have made because you were programmed to make those judgments, ignoring the fact that you were the one that was the object or subject of the revenge that you enacted in every single case. What is the difference in judging, and what is the opposite of judging? If judging carries a penalty, what doesn't carry a penalty? And we'll mention it today. We'll deal with it in more detail later on in the course. But the difference is learning to be the observer of what is. You remember when we sent you away after the last class? We asked you to go out and observe the world based on the 7 decisions, the 7 subconscious attempts to find non-disturbance. And whether you were successful or not, you actually exercised a profound spiritual principle when you went out and began to observe life rather than interact constantly with life. For some of us, non-disturbance was to be left alone. Some of you know there's a hermit deep inside of me who would love to live on the mountain, spend all of his time in my head where songs play and beautiful thoughts happen, as long as I didn't have to interact with others. I found peace. I didn't find fulfillment. Fulfillment comes from the exchange of energy, the exchange of love. Fulfillment is not possible if you're living a life based on resisting or being out of touch with the world. You can fool yourself and be really non-disturbed, but that's not the same. And I know you didn't come here knowing all the rules. I know most of us that have sought spiritual enlightenment have done it for the wrong reason. We've done it trying to find non-disturbance because life kept disturbing us every time we turned around. So I'm not saying that's a bad thing to seek non-disturbance. It is the thing that is true about life. That's what's going on all around us. But I am saying fulfillment will never come from that path. True loving fulfillment only comes from an energy exchange based on love. And you've had those moments of experience. The love of being held by your mother, the love of being fed at her breast, the love of getting the attention from your dad, the love that so much was a part of what you know as a parent, you know as a grandparent, you know as a child, and you know is the truth of life, but it's not all of your life. As a matter of fact, those touchings of love for most of us have been the moments of life rather than your experience of life. Our goal today is to take you a step closer to being able to live that life. And if judging is the source of your illness, the source of your pain, the source of your struggle, and the source of discomfort, and if it might be true that there's another way that's a life of pleasure, a life of joy, a life of harmony, a life of beauty, a life of creativity, which one would you choose? Well, I think we'd choose the one you're programmed to live. Because as we mentioned earlier on in the process, your subconscious mind is 1,000,000 times more powerful than this little Game Boy prefrontal cortex that we try to be creative and try to run our lives with. It is the programs that your parents gave you to look for love, look for life, that enabled you to actually be here today. There's beauty in that subconscious mind. It's not the storehouse of evil and wickedness and misery that oftentimes you've been led to believe it is. For some, that's the truth. For some, and you see them struggling out in the world. In your observations this week, I know you have seen people in misery. Can you magically change those people's experience? I don't think so. I think many of you here have learned the lesson of the healer. And the lesson of the healer is a profound message of love. And that is, if you had the magic to heal with your touch, with your love, with your energy, with your modality, with your wisdom, with your learning, then you could attract to yourself an infinite line of people that will go on for 1,000 years, and you'll never get to the end of that line. Because our job is not to heal from ourselves out there. Our job is to heal this first. Those of you who are healers, it's a beautiful path. I spent many of my years craving, wanting to understand the process of healing. And basically, it's an energy exchange. It's a love exchange. It's a gift that you give. A beautiful thing. But it is not the answer. The answer is for you to heal yourself. Heal yourself of judgment, and you'll find the rest of the picture takes care of itself. The fact that you change the judgments in your subconscious mind is going to attract a community wanting to know what's wrong with you. Why are you happy in the midst of this chaos that we call life? And then, once they've asked that question, they've opened the door for change. If you get this great wisdom and decide to go out and set up a soapbox and preach to the world and talk to them about this great wisdom you have, and it hasn't solidified in your heart yet by your example, then you'll be one of a parade of thousands of years of people who have wisdom but not understanding. Understanding will tell you that the change that you live in your life is the one that makes a difference to others. When you see your children do amazing, awesome things as they grow and mature, that's one of the greatest feelings we have in life. But the source of that great feeling is a recognition that they saw what we taught them. They saw the example we set for them. Even when they were fighting us and telling us no, 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 and going through their temper tantrums, they were led by the example that we lived. Am I worthy to sit by the great teachers and share wisdom at that level? There's a little guy inside that says no. But I'll tell you the truth. If you're in the physical body, if you are living life as a created being, you are worthy to stand with the Dalai Lama, with the Buddha, with the Christ, with each one, looking eye to eye, because there's no judgment of comparison in someone who understands life. There's only the law of attraction. Can I say that again? There is only the law of attraction. When I got up this morning, gravity was still working. Attraction was still working. The laws of the universe are in play all the time. We pretend it's not really a law because they can't explain it in a formula. It is the law. It is the truth about life. And my dream, my hope, is that you will take this simple roadmap that we share, go look at life and decide for yourself if it's true or not. Can I prove it to you? Absolutely not. Most of the things that have been proved have been found to be false anyway. As we grow in understanding, as the laws of quantum physics are supplanting the truth that was proved so many times before, proof is our ego making a judgment on the future. We don't need proof. We need experience. Your subconscious mind only changes through experience. It doesn't change because, oh, I can repeat those words and I can repeat those words and I heard this and oh yeah, I've got the wisdom. But do you have the understanding that comes from that being your experience? When somebody stands in front of you and is judging, putting you down, telling you that you are worthless, telling you whatever they need to tell you, saying something about you, do you feel resistance? Do you feel laughter? Do you feel, oh, she's reflecting, seeing in me, because I'm a clear mirror, what's going on inside of her? That's the truth. Every time you find yourself judging, I'll promise you what you're seeing is a reflection of what's inside of you. And it's time. It's time to give up our living by good and bad. Are those the only two choices? That's the way we're programmed. Don't you know the difference in good and bad? I think it depends on the culture. I think it depends on the programming. I think it depends on the time of life. I think it depends on whether your life's in jeopardy. I think it depends on a lot of things in every single case. The better question is, are you free to see the truth and make a choice in the moment? Oh no. The priest told me this, the nuns told me that, my dad told me this, my mom told me that, my friends told me this. Which one should I choose? That's what's going on inside the subconscious battle right now. Which ones should I choose? As a business person, I wasn't very good as my early years, because every time I tried to make a decision, I would sit and systematically review every single mistake I had ever made in business before, and there were a bunch of them. Now, how wise was that energy, resources, and everything were avoid this mistake, avoid this mistake, avoid this mistake, avoid this mistake. Oh, yes, this mistake and that mistake and those mistakes. Okay, now make a decision. What do you do? That didn't help me make very many wise decisions. What if I'd had the wisdom to look at the truth of the situation and feel what was correct in my heart and live by ethics? Live by, oh, I was hurt before. Oh, I was kind before. Oh, I was this before. Because oftentimes we felt hurt when we've done the right thing and the world didn't respond the way we expected. Your decision-making process based on judgment will always lead you in the direction of the emotion you just felt the strongest. Those of you who are sitting and judging yourselves for a lack of prosperity, that's not the path to prosperity. Judging yourself for any lack only creates more of what you're judging yourself for. Whatever your emotion is going into, that your subconscious mind is saying, oh, he wants more of that. She wants more of that. Whatever your emotion, it pays no attention whatsoever to the little words of gibberish going on up here. The subconscious mind is not very smart. It's beautiful at what it does. Repeat behavior. Left foot, right foot, walk to the end of the thing. But digestion, it can handle that no problem at all. But can it make a decision about what's wise based on your observations? Absolutely not. The subconscious mind, your powerhouse, is guiding your life 95 to 97% of the time. While you're celebrating with all your wisdom about all your great successes and the good things you've done, and oh, he loves me, or oh, she hugged me, or oh, she texted me, or oh, she did this, or oh, she did that, or oh, he did. While your mind is doing that, your subconscious mind is saying, boy, I'm glad she's busy. Now we can get back to the serious thing of life. Avoid pain. Avoid pain. And while you're chattering up here, the laws of attraction work with the greatest emotion that's being created. Is the greatest emotion in your life avoiding conflict or being willing to be uncomfortable for a moment in order to create profound change in your life? I've not changed a thing in my life that I wasn't willing to be present with discomfort first. And I'm not saying create a life of discomfort. What I'm saying is discomfort is a judgment. I want you to hear me, and I know most of you won't. Pain is a judgment. Pain is a judgment. The truth is sensation. Sensation can be mild. It can be really, really intense. But as soon as you create the judgment that, oh, that's pain, instantly you actually set up a barrier between you and that experience, when maybe that wasn't actually all that painful. Maybe that sensation was your body telling you that there was a subconscious conflict going on. Let's deal with it quickly. The subconscious is communicating with you right this moment. There's not a sensation that happens in your body that isn't intentional communication between the subconscious and your conscious, because the only thing it's found that you pay attention to is the body, the sensations. How many of you have drug cabinets filled with pills of awareness? No, those aren't pills of awareness, are they? Those are avoiding awareness. Those are the tools of avoiding sensation. Oh, I don't want to feel pain in my knee. It must be I walked, I slept on it wrong, my neck is going on. There's a language that we will share with you of why the sensation is happening. And if you wait for something to be a pain, I promise you, you've missed 100 signals before that were gentle information. And as you miss them, the subconscious says, oh, wasn't enough. I need to amp it up a little bit. Then he'll pay attention. Then he'll pay attention. And finally, we get to the place that, oh, got my attention. Oh, that pain. Oh, the hurt. Oh. Guilty? Have you lived life that way? Most people have. And the pains that you have imagined have become real. The body is a beautiful communicator. And in my process, I decided years ago that I wanted to be more sensitive. And I continued to drink alcohol until I realized that I was living two different truths. One was I wanted to be more sensitive and give me something to numb all this activity. But I'd got rid of the hard stuff. I just did wine or just did beer. And then I got wise one day and realized, oh, that's all that is. I grew up in the population that believed that the answer to the world was peace through grass. Not the kind you mow. And I had those experiences of relief from stress that way. And I don't regret those situations because they were awakenings. But there's an amazing truth. When you put any substance in your body, it only is activated by connecting with receptors that are already built in the body. Pleasure receptors, pain receptors, numbness receptors. And it occurred to me one day, what are those receptors doing there? Maybe the body has the ability of producing the same effects without the stuff. Well, the last aspirin I took was in 1981 or 82. Have had no need for a drug, no need for a pill, no need for a thing since then. And I've got no pedestal I'm sitting on a stool, but no pedestal for Doug. I'm not saying that's good. I'm saying that was when my life began to be coherent and I began to create what I wanted instead of what I didn't want. Where are those conflicts in your life? What do you want? Do you want peace and harmony, or do you want to avoid pain and struggle? Do you want your body to speak the truth to you, and do you want to have the ears to hear the truth? Or do you want to run as far and as fast as you can so that you don't have to listen to the truth that you know it must be evil? It's in the subconscious. I'm probably going to get eat up if I ever let that message out. There's probably something dark in that. Darkness is your programming. It's not the truth. Evidenced by the fact that you're sitting here. Evidenced by the fact that you are doing what's necessary to bring your life back into balance. Mentally, physically, spiritually, socially, financially. If you're out of balance in any one area of your life, you're going to find a life of sickness, misery, and eventually disintegration. No other choice. The beautiful life, the life without judging and revenge, is when you can find your balance point in each of those 5 areas. What is mental balance? In my perception, not being as wise as the Einsteins and the Liptons of the world. I'm not those people. I'm me. And I'm the best me I know how to be. If I have an ambition to be more than that, is that stupid or what? When I have the chance to be the perfect Doug, why would I want to be Phil? Brilliant guy, but why would I want that when this is what I created? This is what I chose this time. Why would you want to be different than who you are with all your gifts? Only judgment of yourself makes you want to be something else. Every time I'm hurt, I judge. And what we find is that we've lived a life of constantly letting the things outside hurt us. Every time I judge, I pass sentence. Imagine the judge's robe. You are cloaked in the wisdom that you've gained through all these experiences you've had, and you know that so-and-so hurt you. And as a result, I will get back at them. Maybe it's just me that did that, but I don't think so. I think if you look at the behavioral truth of the way you lived your life, every time you felt hurt, instantly you judged, and you then began to elicit your revenge on those that hurt you. Don't you know I gave you my heart, and you went out with him anyway? I remember as a teenager walking in, I had my very first girlfriend. And that was my fantasy, by the way, but it was my fantasy that she was going to be my girlfriend. And I had a stack of presents like this. I mean, I was out to impress. There were black leather gloves, and there were stuff, and it was amazing. Didn't give any presents to my family that year because all of my money was right here. And I carried them in. It was the day before Christmas. And, oh, thanks. And we had 5 minutes of the most amazing joy. And then she had a date. Oh. And as she went out to enjoy the date and have a good time, where was Doug? First, I was hurt. And she must be a tramp. She just saw how much I loved her and instantly, hurt. And the chemistry that flowed from that was intended to communicate with her how hurt I was. Who did it affect? Who else did it affect? She didn't feel a thing I felt. She was out having a good time. And I hope you were too, because I was learning a profound lesson in my life that every time I judge something out there, I am the only one who pays the penalty for that judgment. The only one. We're going to talk in more detail as the course goes on about how you actually pay that penalty, but I'll tell you in general terms, the chemistry that's produced in your body, the adrenaline, cortisol, thyroxine, all the chemistry of reaction, all the chemistry that enables you to fight and run, that gets dumped into your system is what you call stress. If you are under stress in this life, I don't care what story you've made up to justify how you feel, the fact is that stress is a chemical imbalance in your body caused by your thoughts being outside reality, in judgment rather than observing the truth. And once I began to understand how I am the one that had created every single bit of the struggle in my life through my reactions to what was out there, I had to stop judging. Not because they had changed, not because they were different. People continued to do the same things, but finally, I recognized, oh, that's me punishing me for their ignorance. That's me. I had to say it a lot of times. I hope you will say it less times than I did before I got it. That's me punishing me for their hurtfulness. That's me punishing me for their behavior. That's me punishing me. What if your understanding was more powerful than your judgment? What if your understanding allowed you to step in between the hurt and the chemistry with understanding? What if you walk with your stack of presents to your boyfriend or girlfriend, whether that present is a hug or a shared moment with a child, whatever gift you have to give, what if you didn't allow judgment to stand in the way of your receiving the beauty of that exchange? What if I'd had a different experience? Well, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today, because that experience I shared with you was one of the foundation stones to my understanding. And what you're going to discover as you do your work is that every one of the things that you regret, that, oh, all the times you've been hurt, they're the best things that have ever happened to you. Because you're now going to go back and begin to put the puzzle pieces together, and you'll begin to say thank you. Thank you to the priest who was inappropriate with you. Thank you to the nuns who misunderstood and taught you judgment. Thank you to the people who wanted the best for you but taught you to live by fear. Thank you to the people who did your life for you, who programmed you to be who you are. Because in that mix of programs that you took on, there is glorious beauty. There is the jewels of wisdom that brought you here to a place of understanding. Because only through understanding can you take the next step. When I pass sentence, who's the executor? Well, nobody else knows what the sentence is when you've judged. When you were hurt and you judge and you pass sentence, I got news for you. You're the only one involved in this play. So you're the only one that knows all the facts. I guess it's up to you to execute the sentence. Execute yourself if that's what you choose, because you're not affecting anybody else. Any of you have a stove at home? I do. Got one of those round eyes, either gas, electric, or something like that glows red and is really hot? How many times do you have to put your hand on there to understand that's not very smart? Oh! Can you treat judgment the same way? As soon as the light bulb goes off in your and you can connect the dots of your experience and the fact that you are the only one that has paid a penalty for your judgment, it's going to be like that hot eye of the stove. You won't go back and do it again because it hurts. And I know you have a program that says the purpose of my life is not to be disturbed. We're going to use that in a positive way. Why go back and do to yourself again because that jerk at work did this, or that boss did that, or that somebody else did something else? Those are totally irrelevant to the chemistry of your body. And if you knowingly go out and create that again, my words are going to haunt you. Knowingly, you have touched the hot eye, you have learned the lesson, you have made the connection, and in the next unfolding that you're going to experience, you will be shown through your observations whether Doug is this crazy loon that doesn't know what he's talking about, or somebody along the way taught Doug something that's worth learning. I want to acknowledge where I learned what I know, because there was the most loving man I had met at that time in my life was Dr. Rutilio Romero. He taught a process called Dr. Romero's Symposium. Beautiful process. And the wisdom that we are getting to share primarily came from that process. That was 1975 that I began the journey to disprove what this little Mexican guy was trying to tell me I knew had to be baloney. I just didn't know what was wrong with what he told me, but I was going to prove him wrong. 35 years later, I cannot prove anything wrong. And I'm asking you to take that challenge today to try to prove wrong what I'm sharing with you. I hope that through your observations, you'll make every effort you can, because at some point in time, maybe 35 years from now, maybe tomorrow, you'll decide that maybe it's worth observing instead of trying to prove wrong. And if you'll observe, I think you'll find truth. If there's something that you don't find to be true, I will celebrate with you as you tear the notes up, throw them in the trash can, but don't throw it all away. Keep what is true. Keep what works for you. Make progress that you're ready to make in your life, and bring yourself to a place where you can live more of a whole life. I will promise you that there's nothing shared in this group that I don't believe from my experience to be totally true. But I realize that's my experience. I bring no proof. I bring words. I bring experiences. I bring encouragement. I bring love. I bring what I know how to bring, but I know that the truth is what unfolds through your observing and your experience. And I'm asking you to observe your judgments. I'm asking you to observe your habit of living by judgments. And then ask yourself each and every time you find judgment, is it worth sitting my hand on the eye of the stove again, or have I already learned that lesson? As soon as it's in the subconscious, it's automatic. You won't have to think about it anymore. The subconscious is your powerhouse. And in this process, we're going to teach you the secret of putting things into the subconscious. It's energy. It's the wisdom of your emotions. Let's get back to the point, though. 1960-something, it's when I got hurt by my Christmas present girlfriend. And how long do you think I carried that experience with me? In other words, when are you sure that they have paid enough? Well, if you're like me in some ways, you have a bag behind you in which you carry all those experiences where you were hurt. All the boyfriends, all the girlfriends, all the betrayals, all the mistrusts, all the stuff that went on. And every now and then, in the midst of your joy, you'll say, oh yeah, let me drag up this old body I have and see if I still feel the same way. Oh yeah, she hurt me bad. Let's hold on to it a little while longer. You have dragged those dead bodies along with you long enough. Is there anybody that's hurt you enough that you can't forgive them? If so, you're welcome to carry them with you. You're welcome to drag them back up and re-experience the chemistry, re-experience the pain, re-experience the struggle, just so that you're sure that you remember that you were hurt. Is there any value to doing that? Not in my world. So if there's no reason to do that, why do we carry it on? If you put in forgiveness instead of judgment, what you'll find is it's not worth dragging those dead bodies around anymore. Even if you drag them up, and, oh yeah, I love him now. Well, why drag him along anymore? What you'll find is that you'll begin to remember the beautiful things that drew you together in the first place instead of the things that created separation between you. There's only love that's worth carrying with you. Love is light. Love adds no weight to your life. Love is the wind that will lift your wings. Love is the reason, it's the thing we're all searching for with compelling energy. It's the love of Creator that you're looking for. And when you can love His most personal creation, the one you're looking at in the mirror with, when it's love that you see instead of judgment, a new day is dawning for your life. Because if you judge Creator's creation, if you judge what you've done in your awakening process, if you judge what others have done to you, if you judge anything along the way, the only thing you've done is separated yourself from the greatest sort of wisdom that is, your mind. Your mind has the creative answers. Who paid the penalty for every judgment you ever made? Duh. Who's the only one that paid the penalty for every judgment you've ever made? And if you accept that that might be true, go out this week and observe. Feel in your body if something doesn't happen at the moment that the blue lights go off behind you and you go, oh. We'll talk about that in more terms to make it more real a little later in the process. But I want you to know that in your effort to find non-disturbance, you have been trying to be free from pain, free from misery, free from all those things you judged. And broadcast, newsflash, if you are trying to be free from something, in that very act, you are creating in your mind that very thing that you are trying to be free from. How successful will you ever be at being free from pain when you constantly are focused on pain? Remember, subconscious mind doesn't pay attention to your words and what you really mean. It is only focused on what you feel emotion about. Your emotions started programmed to resist pain really, really early in life. Those are the powerful programs. So every time you try to be free from something, you are simply dragging into the moment the very thing you don't want. Wisdom is when you're free to experience life as it is. Free to. Can you feel the difference? I'm free to experience somebody judging me, and for the first time, I don't have to experience it with them. I can see it as their stuff instead of defending myself. Why defend yourself from their ignorance? Why not be an example of your wisdom? When you're free to you can act creatively. There's no separation between you and Creator's mind that flows freely through you. All creative solutions that you have ever come up with, all the brilliant ideas, all the brilliant creations, all the songs, all the tunes, all the writings, all the things you've done have all happened in a moment of free to download, free to experience, free to express. And yet, we sit in a room of the wise, and we all know that most of our lives we've been trying to be free from something. Turn it around. I've told you, and I'll tell you again, the love you seek is preceded by understanding. It's understanding brings love. It's time we made that change. And self-discipline is the key to freedom. I could hear it in your energy. Oh, darn. Because you're probably programmed similar to the way I was. And when I finally discovered my response or my judgment about self-discipline, I had none of it. Self-discipline. Discipline is what the nuns did when they got the rulers and did their thing. Discipline was what mom and dad did. Discipline is when I didn't get to do what I wanted to do. Discipline felt like yuck. Self-discipline, ugh. Sound familiar? Having trouble with self-discipline? Think there might be a reason, a simple reason, a program that's running that you didn't understand, where we have the words up here, we know what they mean, but the feeling down here, whoa. The feeling down here is in control. Well, guess what self-discipline really is? Knowing what in the dickens you want. And as soon as you know what you want, there is not a force on this earth that can separate you from that very thing. Self-discipline is knowing what you want, feeling worthy of its expression, and taking the steps day after day because I know I know the direction I'm going. That's all self-discipline really is. There's no punishment necessary. No negativity required, but it is allowed in our experience of life. We get to do this the way we want to. And there's the way of torture, struggle, eventually getting part of the way there. There's this other path of joy, pleasure, accomplishment, incredible gifts. Which one do you want? Where's your art form? Where is the point in life where you're ready to create, to be this incredible gifted child that you came here to be? I know you've judged and separated yourself from that experience, but it's okay to let go of that judgment. That judgment has served its purpose in getting you here to that place where it's time to understand the game and choose the games you want to play. Life is a game. That's all it is. This is an opportunity to play with our co-creators. And as you watch children on a playground, I hope you can find the inspiration to realize that's what Jesus was saying. Come to me as little children. Simplify your understanding of life. Realize it's simply a matter of living without judgment. The garden is here. The garden has a welcome sign. There's only one requirement. You set aside your need to judge. Set aside what separates you from Creator. Set aside what separates you from your loved ones. Set aside what separates you from seeing the brilliance of who you really are. Come as little children and let's play. Let's find out how happy we can be, how fulfilled we can be, and live that as an example, and just maybe we'll change part of the world. Just maybe we'll communicate that to our kids. Just maybe we'll communicate that to other people in our environment. And just maybe enough of us will change that we can live again in the garden. I ask you again to take this information, go out in the world and be the best observer you've ever been of your life and your judgments. And when you do that, it's my belief that you will see your hand before it hits the hot eye. And you say, oh, I started to do that. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't need to do that anymore. I don't need to punish myself for somebody else's lack of understanding. That's all ignorance is. They don't understand yet. And it's my belief they won't understand until you show them. Your calling in life is to absorb the wisdom that's in front of you. That's the law of attraction at work, at play in your life. There were no accidents that brought you here. There are no accidents for the folks that aren't here. It's all perfect. Stop judging. Start celebrating the opportunity we have. Go out and observe. And before the next class, I want you to come armed with new observations, new light on the experience of the way you're living your life. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the cycle of sickness that is dominating the world today. Know that you're loved. Know that I am thrilled that we're getting to do this together, and the profound steps lay just ahead. First, we have to see what is, recognize judgment, and add to our understanding through your observations and experience. You're loved, and I'll see you soon.
Hello, friends. Thanks for joining us on our journey to return to the garden. My hope is that something you heard inspired you to want to know more. It's been my experience that the information comes to life as you learn to observe more and judge less. I also know that those observations will lead to more questions. To continue the journey, I want to invite you to be my guest for our continuing monthly online classes. The interactive structure and with question and answers will be fun and filled with laughter. The first 3 sessions are free. Registration is a breeze. Just visit www.returntothegarden.com. That's it, returntothegarden.com. Here's wishing you a happy, stress-free life, and I hope our paths cross again.